Hey everyone, you're watching Lutes and Dice, and today we're going to do something different and create a character. A pretty weird one too, because that's what I have in mind. I've given it a little thought beforehand, and I think we're going to need 3 source books. Obviously, Player's Handbook, Xanathar's Guide to Everything to pick some crazy archetypes from here, and possibly Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide to maybe pick some background. So not only we're going to create a character, but we're also going to level him up to level 6 and provide him with some multiclass. The person we're going to talk about is called Derathrine Telavir. He's an archer of some kind, and he's an elf, undead elf. How about that? So let me tell you what's going on. I currently run Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, and this character is in my game already as an NPC. My players are in charge of a pirate ship, and when I came up with a crew, I just brainstormed a bunch of characters that I wanted to make as vibrant and memorable as possible. Derathrine was one of them, a quartermaster, a loner who speaks in a low-pitched, gravelly voice. "We should sail west, Captain. It'll cost us a day, but we'll avoid that storm." You know, that kind of guy. And for some reason, I've decided that he would be dead. Undead, to be sure. To intrigue my players by this shroud of mystery. He doesn't eat, he's very quiet, and his arrows are infused with magic. But I myself have no idea what's his background. I just know I wanted to have a little bit of drama, it has to be badass, and I want to be able to weave this background into the story. Basically everything you would want for your average character. And to entertain you and myself, I've decided to pick a couple of uncommon archetypes from Xanathar. So before rolling anything, I always like to compose a story. So let's open a document and brainstorm together. So I have this image in mind that I've already described. He looks like a loner, he's mysterious, he's freaking dead, and he's like a badass archer. But I kind of imagine him being a part of a brotherhood of some kind. I have this image of a ship that's teleporting through planes. Maybe at some point in the story I want to surprise my characters with the ship appearing just above the sea from some sort of teleport, and some guy similar to Derathrine calling out to him to maybe join them again or something like that, and possibly opening doors for some branching storylines, I don't know. So that kind of makes me think that he might be out of this world. Alright, so let's start from there. Derathrine comes from an elven world, somewhere within the material plane. As far as I understand the multiverse in Dungeons & Dragons, that the material plane has a multitude of material worlds. Like Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Dragonlance, all these worlds are inside of a material plane, but they're kind of like planets, I suppose. So we'll just create our own. So to add some drama to his background, why does this brotherhood exist? By the way, I'm probably gonna cut out literally minutes of me just staring at a blank page, so you won't have to witness that. Okay, so why is he undead? Maybe he's a vampire. A vampire brotherhood. That sounds cool. So this world had been overrun by an interplanar vampiric plague led by a dark goddess, Nocturnal. Yeah, I didn't say I'm original. The so-called plague unfolded over centuries, slowly turning all the ruling class to vampires and bending their will to serve the vampiric goddess. So we're slowly getting to the origins of this brotherhood, which Derathrine is a part of. When the world was almost drained from its life force, king of, let's go to Eleanor, named Barathil Elasindir. So this guy unchained his will by some means and freed his brethren from Nocturnal's control. Okay, so they basically waged a war and hidden behind the walls of Dor Eleanor, which is a castle on the mountaintop. Well, hello there. By the way, if you're a player, don't be afraid to write something like this too and provide your DM with some additional lore. If you're a player, it doesn't mean that you can't help your DM create worlds. It's his job to weave your background into the story, so it might just kickstart an entirely unique, branched storyline. Okay, dude, you're bumming me out. Look at this vampire. Okay, so Barathil and his vampire brotherhood have sworn to hunt down Nocturnal and take revenge upon her. Once a year they gather in Dor Eleanor and prepare their interplanar vessel, Midnight, to travel the multiverse, fighting Nocturnal's cancerous influence on the worlds that just starting to turn. They call it the Bleeding. So this background is so specific that I think it deserves its own special feature. What do you think? Once a month, Derathrine can use his sigil as an interplanar beacon, calling his brothers for assistance. So yeah, if you're a player, you should really consult your DM and have him allow this kind of thing. But thankfully, I'm a dungeon master here, so no problem for me. So let's get back to our character sheet. I kind of get a feeling that this guy just has to be a high elf, right? So he's a high elf, still undead. Your dexterity score increases by 2. So we'll take some notes here. Languages, obviously common. Given that he's from another world, his Elvish is probably going to be Elunorian Elvish. But the common language, I think he managed to learn it during his travels. High Elf gets an intelligence bonus. He also gets an additional language, and I think something like Sylvan. We also get a cantrip of our choice. I kind of like Message. How about that? So now let's have a look at some Archer archetypes from Xenothar's Guide to Everything. I remember it has a neat little table of subclasses. Alright, so I'm seeing Arcane Archer, and also some Ranger archetypes might fit as well. An Arcane Archer studies a unique elven method, there you go, method of archery that weaves magic into attacks to produce supernatural effects. Arcane Archers are some of the most elite warriors among the elves. They stand watch over the fringes of elven domains. I kinda like it. So having flipped through Ranger subclasses as well, I'm getting a feeling that a Horizon Walker is something that very much fits our background of him being part of this brotherhood that hunts the forces of the vampire goddess in the multiverse. And Horizon Walkers are basically specialists in otherworldly stuff. They can find planar portals and all that good stuff. So I'm getting a vision that he's been an Arcane Archer when Eleanor was still a normal kingdom, and he served in some sort of elite royal forces. So in order to not get lost, we'll start level by level. I think I'll pick a standard set of scores that can be found on page 13 of Player Handbook if you don't want to roll dice. I think having a maximum score in dexterity is a smart thing to do. So he's a quartermaster on the ship, and also he's been a sort of border guard. So I think wisdom is what we're going for, since Quartermaster is responsible for setting course and keeping track of weather and all that stuff. So I'm not picking wisdom because he's Quartermaster, but I'm thinking in reverse way. He is Quartermaster because his wisdom score was so big, I guess. Alright, so we have our scores and modifiers. Now let's flip to the fighting style. Of course, archery and second wind. We basically have all the armor and weapons proficiencies, though I'm not even gonna fill it out. Saving throws, strength, and constitution. And by the way, I think I've forgotten to pick a background. So if I remember correctly, the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide has something that we might need. There it is, a far traveler, because he came from pretty far. Insight and perception. And we also get another language. Elunorian Elvish, Common Sylvan, maybe something even weirder, because he's been traveling multiverse for quite a while. Infernal, because why not, you know? Maybe he's going to Avernus with my players, eventually. So from equipment, we are going to give him a sigil of his brotherhood. Let's call it a Last of Eleanor sigil. So okay, personality traits, ideals, let me think. So a bond I came up with. I serve. Yeah, we have to read it in his voice, right? I serve King Berethil and the Last of Eleanor. If the bleeding calls, I answer. Flaws, of course we have a flaw. I bear the curse of Nocturnal, but I choose to hunger. Oh my god, he's so cool. I want to play this dude. Okay, ideals and personality traits I'll leave for later. Nothing comes to mind right now. Alright, let's get back to the player's handbook. Equipment. Yeah, we need something special. Let's give him a Elunorian elite leather armor. If I remember correctly, the leather armor is 11 plus dexterity modifier. So, but this is going to be like a magical item, which is +1. Let it be studded leather, 12 plus dexterity modifier. So finally, this is going to be a 16 with our magical bonus. I'm giving him magic items because even the player's handbook says that if you're creating a character of a higher level than the first one, then there are certain rules that, you know, give you some sort of starting amount of gold that you can spend on getting magic items. Basically, usually you decide that with your DM. Elunorian Elite Bow. A longbow +1. We'll type in the attack bonus and everything after we level up, so we won't do the same thing twice. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're done with the first level. Let's level him up. Our HP grows, becoming 14. We get an action surge, and that's basically it, I guess. Now it's time to actually pick our archetype. Arcane Archer. Here it is. And the ability that we get is Arcane Archer Lore, which means that you learn magical theory or some of the secrets of nature, typical for practitioners of this elven martial tradition. You choose to gain a proficiency in either the Arcana or the Nature skill, and you choose to learn either the Prestidigitation or the Druidcraft cantrip. Let's pick Prestidigitation. And I've just realized that I forgot to pick proficiencies. So I'm guessing that Survival is something fitting for a guy who worked as a border guard of an elven kingdom, as well as probably Acrobatics. Look at that. Acrobatics automatically checks Sleight of Hand as well. This is a character sheet from an official D&D site, so that's weird. The second ability is Arcane Shot. You learn to unleash special magical effects with some of your shots. When you gain this feature, you learn 2 Arcane Shots options of your choice. And it actually has a whole bunch of options based on different schools of magic. So I definitely like Shadow Arrow, which deals some additional psychic damage. And it also screws up with the target's vision, which is cool. So I'm liking a piercing arrow, which shoots forward in a line, and everybody in that line has to make a dexterity saving throw or get hit by this arrow. That sounds spectacular. Okay, so at this point, I think we multi-class. How about that? Since we've picked a Horizon Walker, we are going to take a level in Ranger class. So let's check with this multi-classing prerequisites table. The ability score minimum to become a ranger as a multi-class is Dexterity 13, Wisdom 13. We hit the mark. Now let's get to proficiencies. There are certain limits when you get the proficiencies from your new class when you're multi-classing. And this table shows what you get if this particular class is your second one. So with Ranger we get light armor, medium armor, shield, simple weapons, martial weapons, and 1 skill from the class skills list. So we already have all those proficiencies for weapon and armor from fighter, so all we need to choose is a skill. Why am I wanting to choose animal handling? I just get the picture in my head of this interplanar fight, and these elven vampire brotherhood mounts flying space bats and have a dogfight with some interplanar vampiric creatures. It sounds absolutely crazy, but I don't care. So our hit die remains the same. Our hit points become 28. We get favored enemy. Of course it's going to be undead, because we hunt undead. Natural Explorer. Choose one type of favored terrain. Arctic coast, desert, forest, grassland, mountain, swamp, or the Underdark. Well, that's a bummer because nothing fits. I guess we'll pick forest just because of his background of defending the forests of Eleanor. So story-wise, he's been an Arcane Archer, and when that nocturnal war happened and he with his brothers stepped on a path of revenge, he kind of multi-classed into a ranger to be able to track his enemies down, eventually becoming a Horizon Walker. We level up again. We are Ranger 2 now, and we get another fighting style. Now unfortunately we cannot benefit from 2 of the same fighting style from different classes, so I cannot pick archery and gain a +4 bonus. So I'll have to pick something else, and defense is the only thing that seems relevant, which means our AC becomes 17. How cool is that? We also have spell casting. Okay, so I've picked detect poison and disease. Hunter's Mark, of course, because it's a very useful skill. And Ensnaring Strike. So now we get to our final level, in which we get Primeval Awareness, which gives us the ability to expand a spell slot and sense whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of you, including undead and fiends. And of course, we get a Ranger archetype, which gets us back to Xenothar's Guide to Everything. Horizon Walker, finally. They guard the world against threats that originate from other planes or that seek to ravage the mortal realm with otherworldly magic. Seems just about right. So we get Horizon Walker magic. At level 3, we get protection from evil and good. Then we can detect portals. We gain the ability to magically sense the presence of a planar portal. And finally, the Planar Warrior. You learn to draw on the energy of the multiverse to augment your attacks. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. The next time you hit that creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all damage dealt by the attack becomes force damage, and the creature takes an extra 1d8 force damage from the attack. So now let's do some finishing touches. So the proficiency is calculated as though we were of level 6, which is +3. So our attack bonus is going to be our dexterity plus proficiency, +2 from the archery fighting style, and finally +1 from our magic bow. So it's gonna be a +9. Alignment, I'm going with neutral. We're getting back to our personality traits and ideals. So okay, let's see. Derathrine Telavir is a vampire that is sort of walking on the edge of a blade with his curse. So maybe he sort of avoids company to lower the chances of giving in to his nature and, you know, just go for it and bite somebody. So let's go with something like, it's not easy to be my friend. It's for your own safety. The Fall of Nocturnal. It kind of sounds like a bond, but I imagine being broken by such a tragic past kind of could build a vision of ideal multiverse free from this ever-traveling curse. I want to live to see the multiverse free from her curse. So of course, besides all this, he's a quartermaster on Twilight Kraken, which is the name of the ship of my player characters. And he is sort of their friend, but he's first of all an elf, and the elves live like 1,000 years or so. And vampires are immortal, I think. So this entire adventure with them is just chilling for him, waiting for the next bleeding to happen. Doesn't mean he's not loyal to them, but this is his thing, you know, his tragic fate. So that's it for today. I hope it was entertaining. Let me know in the comments what do you think about this type of videos, and what do you think about Derathrine Telavir? Would you want to play this kind of character? If yes, then I'll put a link to this character sheet in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.